friend. I'm really glad that you pressed play today. If you're feeling a little low on motivation, maybe life feels like a grind, your goals seem blurry, or your heart's just tired, you're not alone. We all hit those moments where everything feels heavier than usual. And sometimes, as believers, we carry that extra layer of guilt when we feel like we should be doing more or trusting God better, but we're just not feeling it. So let me say this gently right at the start. There is grace for you here. There's room for the wrestle. You don't have to fake energy or hustle your way into purpose. God sees you right where you are, and He hasn't taken His eyes off you. I'm Coach Chuck, helping men and women overcome fear and live with clarity, confidence, and purpose. And this is Inspired Edge, from fear to faith-filled living. And today, we're talking about motivation, not the kind that's loud or flashy, but the kind that quietly realigns our hearts with God's purpose and lifts us one small step at a time. So let's talk about three simple but powerful ways to stay motivated, even when you're spiritually stuck. Number one, reflect on your achievements with gratitude to God. When you're in a season where progress feels slow or ideas are hard to come by, one of the most faith filled things you can do is pause and look back, not in a self congratulatory way, but in a posture of gratitude. Proverbs 16:9 reminds us that the heart of a man plans his way, but the Lord establishes his steps. Isn't that comforting? Even when it feels like we're not getting anywhere, God is the one faithfully establishing each step. And often we don't realize just how far we've come until we take time to remember. So here's something simple you can do today: grab a journal or even just a scrap piece of paper and write down a few milestones or answered prayers from the past year, big or small. Maybe it's a relationship that healed, a step of obedience you took, a time you trusted God when it felt risky. When you start to see the thread of His faithfulness, motivation gently rises, not because you're striving for the next big thing, but because you're grounded in what He's already done. And number two, learn from others and see God at work in their lives. Sometimes we just need that fresh spark, and God often provides it through other people. Proverbs 27:17 says, "Iron sharpens iron, and one man sharpens another." You don't have to walk this journey alone. Even if you don't have a mentor in real life right now, you can still be encouraged by the stories of others who are faithfully walking with God. That might mean reading a book by a Christian leader, listening to a podcast such as this one, or following someone on social media who points you back to truth. Just be intentional. Filter everything through scripture and prayer. The goal isn't to compare or feel like you're behind, but to be reminded that God works in all kinds of ways, and He's not finished with you either. One of my favorite things to do when I'm in a motivation slump is to ask myself, where do I see God working in someone else's life right now? And then follow that up with, what does that stir in me? Sometimes that question alone helps me realign with God's bigger picture. And number three, mentor others as an act of Christian service. Here's something beautiful and often overlooked. When you invest in others, your own motivation often returns. Colossians 3:23 through 24 says, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You are serving the Lord Christ." That verse isn't just about paid work or ministry, it's about our daily lives, our influence, the way we choose to show up. Mentoring someone, whether formally or informally, isn't just a kindness, It's a way to serve God. And in doing so, you might just find yourself re energized in the process. You don't have to have it all together to make an impact. Sometimes your honesty and willingness to walk alongside someone else in the mess is exactly what God uses to ignite both your hearts. So, what's the takeaway? Motivation at its root isn't about hype, it's about alignment. When we realign with God's faithfulness in the past, see his hand at work in others, and serve as his hands and feet to someone else, something shifts. Our hearts open, our vision clears, our why gets anchored again, not in pressure, but in purpose. Friend, God isn't asking you to push harder. He's inviting you to come back to center, to remember who you are in Him, to remember why you started, to remember that even slow progress is sacred when you're walking with Him. Let me leave you with a few gentle prompts to reflect on this week. Maybe write them in your journal or talk through them with a trusted friend. How have you seen God's hand in your past achievements? Who's someone whose story is inspiring your faith right now? And is there someone in your life you could mentor or encourage this week, even in a small way? And if this is resonating with you and you're looking for a little more structure or support right now, I'd love to invite you to check out my free resource, The 5 Life Keys, a faith based framework for breaking free from burnout and fear based living. It's designed to help you get clarity and confidence rooted in your faith, not just hustle. And you can grab it at info.inspirededgecoaching.com/framework or through the link in the show notes. Or if you're ready to talk through some next steps in a more personal way, I'd love to offer you a complimentary discovery call. Just a casual conversation to hear where you're at and how I can help. Remember, you are not stuck, you are held, and God is still writing your story with purpose, with grace, and with love. Until next time, stay rooted in faith and keep moving forward, one spirit led step at a time.